Hi everybody, welcome to another Spectrum Economics video. Today I'm going to be talking about vegan economics. I'm going to be talking about my story in terms of how I became vegan and why I want to incorporate veganism and economics together. So the story takes me back a long time now. This is back when I was fairly young, back when I was in high school. And back then I was eating meat, and I've been eating meat until only like 18 months ago. So it doesn't start with veganism, but I think the path started way back then. And that was back when I realized that there was something wrong with humanity. Humanity didn't seem to fit in particularly well with the rest of society, with the rest of the world, you know what I mean? With the rest of the animals and the plants and all that. We seem different, very much different. I know we've got religion that tries to account for all of that, but I wasn't satisfied with those explanations. I wasn't satisfied that that we are, the kings of the world, whatever you want to call it, and the animals are just there for us to use, just there. I thought something seemed wrong, and I didn't jump to veganism. In fact, I jumped to something different, and it was a book that caught my attention in the library called Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken, and this book actually talks about aliens, funny enough, and at the time that seemed to fit pretty well, and even to this day I still have the belief that we are somehow influenced by aliens. Aliens have somehow come down and taken whatever animal there was before and converted it into what we have as humans at some form or other. And the evidence presented in Chariots of the Gods I found fairly compelling in terms of, at that time anyway, how this whole alien DNA could separate us from it. And I was very fascinated. I had similar sort of ideas before I came across the book, so I was very much in sync with that, and that was just when I was in high school. I went on, finished high school, and then I joined the army. I was in the national service in Singapore. And just before I joined the army, I got this book. I didn't read it until I got into the army when I had a bit of time when I was injured. And this book was called The Biggest Secret, and that was by David Icke. And I found the contents of that book particularly interesting. It was different. It was talking about aliens again, funny enough, but a little bit different. It was going more into conspiracies, and it was quite a bit was about Princess Diana's crash and how she died, and a lot of the world seemed to make sense looking at it from David Icke's perspective in terms of The Biggest Secret. And I spent a lot of time reading that during the period that I was injured, or I called it out of course, when I was in the army. And I got quite deep into the book. Eventually, I lost the book. I think I borrowed it to someone, and it kind of got lost that way. But I pretty much covered the book, and I was pretty convinced a lot of what he's saying made a lot of sense. I then followed David Icke on his website, and I watched his videos, and I even went to his live presentation. That wasn't so long ago, actually. I think it was about a year ago. Was that? No, a year and a half ago. That was just when I turned vegan. So I've still been following him that whole time. But even though his ideas and all appealed to me, it all seemed fairly distant, if you know what I mean. It was like it was there, but it wasn't part of my life. It was something like the world out there, happening to other people, but wasn't really happening to me. I kind of needed something that would connect on a deeper level. And I think it didn't quite do that, but it definitely put me on the path. So anyway, after the army, I went to university in Singapore. Went to this place called Stansfield College, which was, I did the University of London external program from there. And that's where I got very heavily involved in economics. I'd done a bit of economics at high school as well, but I did my degree in economics, and economics appealed to me in a sense that it's very broad. Because I also did accounting as well, and that was also, it's very much defined, and it's very mathematical, and economics can be mathematical, but doesn't necessarily have to. And it basically covers everything. And that's one of my other series I've done about economics is everywhere, and it literally is everywhere. And people think of economics in terms of dollars and cents, but it's actually a lot more than that. And particularly behavioral economics appealed to me. So I was very much interested in it, and I was also fairly good at it as well. So I completed my studies in Singapore, and then I moved to Australia, and I did my master's in economics. And again, it was a similar sort of thing. I still felt very connected to it. And the master's actually, in many ways, was easier because I was studying at Griffith University. I was doing the University of London course, which was particularly difficult. But the second part of my course there, I did my thesis. Initially, I wanted to challenge Nash mixed equilibrium, which I couldn't get a supervisor for that. So what I did instead was I looked at higher education. and my thesis was on, is the pursuit of higher education worth the cost? So there's a lot of material on education, but I looked at it in terms of money. Now, a lot of things in economics is based around money, but it doesn't have to be. And I wanted to look at it in terms of utility, as in terms of satisfaction. What gives you more satisfaction, having a degree or not having a degree? So that again would relate to the sacrifice of income you'd have to take your degree, and also maybe additional satisfaction that you can get from having that degree and being able to pursue a job that gives you additional value. And of course as well, these jobs, generally you'd earn more money once you have a degree compared to when you're outside of high school. So there's quite a lot of consumerism involved with that, which in the later years I'm actually now kind of a little bit more opposed to those ideas. But the ideas though as well that we can gain something beyond money, I definitely stick with those ideas. Though it doesn't have to relate to consumerism, it can relate to a lot of things. In fact, consumerism is probably a very small part of where we get our enjoyment from. So that part of my thesis I still hold. So, okay, so this takes me to the end of part one. You're probably thinking, okay, where does the veganism fit in so far? Well, this is mostly explaining my passion for economics and why I'm so passionate about economics, and to the extent of why I think it applies everywhere, and how veganism, I explain in part two, is such a good fit for that. But anyway, if you like this video, remember to click the like button and subscribe if you want to see the second part. Of course, you don't have to subscribe, you can watch it, but it makes it easier because it will come up as a reminder, I believe. And also I'm doing some other stuff as well. I have more vegan economics videos coming out later on, explaining a few other aspects of veganism and economics. And I also have some microeconomic stuff as well. Anyway, remember to subscribe and stay tuned for part two coming up very soon.